Obituaries brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, 256-245-4361, Sylacauga, Childersburg. It's Curtis & Son Funeral Home. Mr. James F. Mazzeo Jr., age 59 of Sycamore, died Monday, October the 11th. Visitation for Mr. Mazzeo will be today from noon until 1 o'clock at Curtis & Son North in Sylacauga. Following the visitation, there will be a graveside service at 1 o'clock from Evergreen Memorial Cemetery. Online condolences at curtissonsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing that service. In other obituary news this morning on this Friday, the 15th day of October, funeral arrangements are set for Karen Chandler of Sylacauga. That service will be on Saturday. Visitation 1:30 to 3 o'clock at Curtis & Son North. Graveside service at 3 in the Evergreen Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, donations can be made to Sylacauga's First Church of the Nazarene. Karen, very well loved here in our community. Karen Chandler died on October the 13th. Visitation today 1 until 3 at Curtis, or 1:30 until 3 at Curtis & Son North, with burial at 3 o'clock in the Evergreen Cemetery. Online condolences at curtissonsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Dorothy Galliot died yesterday. Curtis & Son Funeral Home will announce the arrangements. Dorothy died at Sylacauga Health and Rehab. And Mr. Paul Edwards died in Tuscaloosa on Thursday. Curtis & Son Funeral Home will announce the arrangements. And Mr. Ira Blanchard, funeral arrangements to be announced today. Mr. Blanchard died at Bill Nichols State Veterans Home in Alexander City. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Childersburg Chapel, announcing. Celebration of life for the Reverend Doyle Cook, age 90, is Saturday at 1 o'clock from Greater New Hope Baptist Church in Sylacauga, with the Reverend Rodney Looney officiating. Interment in the New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery. Visitation is today from 1 until 7 o'clock. Family hour from 5 until 7 at Community Funeral Home. Mass is required for all those attending. Community Funeral Home, Sylacauga, directing. Homegoing celebration remembering the life of Mrs. Benny Lee Wilson Garrett, age 88, of Talladega, will be Saturday at 1 p.m. from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel, with the Reverend Randy Jones officiating. Interment in the Lawler Cemetery. There will be a public viewing for Ms. Garrett today from 2 to 7 at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home, Crematory in Talladega, directing. Mr. Matthew Patterson Sr., better known as Buddy of Rockford, a private service is scheduled for Mr. Patterson. He was retired from Avondale Mills in Rockford. And funeral service for Mrs. Mildred Reese Jackson, age 89, of Alexander City, is today at 1:30 from the Chapel of Radley Funeral Home. The Reverend Michael Waldrop and Dr. Josh Salmons officiating. Burial in the Hillview Memorial Park. The family will receive friends today, noon until service time at the funeral home. Mrs. Jackson died Tuesday, October 12th at Russell Medical Center. She was a member of the Zion Hill Baptist Church. Radney Funeral Home, Alexander City, in charge of the arrangements. Memorial messages may be sent to the family at radneyfuneralhome.com. This obituary report this morning is brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, 256-245-4361. For pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.